Good evening and welcome to the SVG-TV news for Thursday, February 3rd. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. A port company will be established to manage the modern port facility to be constructed in capital Kingstown. This was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at the official handing over of 28 housing structures at Lomans earlier this week for the residents who will be relocated from Rose Place to make way for the construction phase of the multi-million-dollar port. The new port company, he said, will operate under international standards.
With the structure which you have there. So I made the suggestion, and that suggestion has been accepted by the financiers. We will establish a company, a wholly owned state company, to run the port with quality management of an international level. And there would be the Port Authority existing to deal with the regulation of ports, because there's more than one port in the country. So just like how you have a management for Argyle International Airport, but you have a regulatory agency for civil aviation, is the same way we will address that.
The building of the new port at Rose Place will amount to close to 600 million EC dollars. Only recently, the Prime Minister said that he sourced more than 62 million for additional works, and at Monday's handing over ceremony, he said a further $18 million will be needed.
Is the 62 from one source? I ain't telling you the source yet. I spoke to the CDB. I wrote the CDB a letter telling them where the source is, and I wrote the British government telling them. And they both confirmed that they got the letters. So we have the financing for it. In addition, I have to find $18 million for equipment, because some of the old broke down equipment on the port, I mean, I take them for a new port. You hear me? And I go find that. Don't worry your head. But that's a little further down the road.
The new port is expected to be completed in about 2 years' time. PM Gonsalves said it will serve to further beautify capital Kingstown.
Right now, Port Kingstown, which is 60 years old, we're patching it. It could fall apart any day in the week. And the one which was built down at Camden Park, we shouldn't be patching that the way we have to patch it. And it's too small for our purposes. And I want us to use the port project to make Kingstown, the capital city, more beautiful than ever before.
Meanwhile, PM Gonsalves has emphasized that the distribution of building materials, which his government has been doing on a yearly basis since taking office 21 years ago, will continue, noting that hundreds of homes have been built and thousands more received building materials because of this initiative. He lashed out at the Christian Council for asking him to stop the distribution, noting that in the last general election, he was written to on the matter and was asked to stop, which he said he could not understand.
To the book of Matthew. If you need a house, put it over your head. You're a preacher man. You're a pastor, you have a good dwelling. You telling me I must stop, give out materials to take care of people? Eh? Stay in your crease and talk to me about God, and don't tell me I must not build house for people. I'll give out materials. I'll give it out every year, and I'll give it out in election year and out of election year.
The Prime Minister said that he will continue to do what is in the best interest of the people.
Use any politics and try and cloak it under anything else. These things are not done for election year, you know. They're done all the time. This is not an election year. And look at what is happening. You look in the newspapers, you see the number of applications to the court for the possessory titles, for possessory titles. people couldn't get title for their land. But once they occupying the land for 12 years and they have adverse possession, I set up a procedure under that law.
Oswald Robinson will be seeking re-election as president of the SVG Teachers Union when the body holds its biennial elections later this month.
Be contesting for the position of president. Cannot leave the teachers in just a battle has started and just leave them like that. I have to continue to fight to the end. The election committee is charged with a responsibility, and they would release who is the other persons contesting. Robinson
said he had decided not to contest the upcoming elections, but has since changed his mind.
We look forward to every 2 years. It's an exciting exercise. I was really thinking about not running back, but because of the current situation now, and we're actually in the High Court now, and I have been playing a pivotal role in this regard, the teachers have been calling and asking me to stay on.
Members of the SVG-TU interested in contesting the various positions on the executive have been asked to submit the relevant completed nomination documents by the close of business tomorrow. The executive positions that will be contested on Tuesday, February 22nd and Wednesday, February 23rd are President, First and Second Vice President, General Secretary, Assistant General Secretary, Treasurer, Public Relations Officer, and committee members. The SVGTU said persons elected at these elections will serve on the union's executive for the 2022-2024 biennium and will be installed at the union's 22nd biennial convention, which will be held in April. Active COVID-19 cases in SVG are down to 678, with 130 recoveries recorded, according to the latest update by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment. The report indicates 5 new PCR and 10 new rapid antigen cases were recorded for the reporting period. 95 persons in SVG have died from COVID-19. 2 were fully vaccinated, 1 partially, and 92 unvaccinated. To date, 64,939 vaccines have been administered. In the absence of Vincimas for the past 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many artists and other creatives have dropped out from the art form, resorting to other occupations. This is according to Chairman of the Carnival Development Corporation, Ricardo Adams, who was at the time addressing a news conference on Tuesday on plans for the hosting of Vincimas this year in a safe environment. Adams said at this point, there is limited opportunity for the youths in the creative space.
Seen a lot of long faces on my right and on my left, where the practitioners would be saying another year, and unfortunately, we've actually started seeing some of the people dropping out of the art form. I got stories of guys who were soca artists a couple of years ago and doing well in the soca artist business, who now van conductors, and so because there's just no option for them to in the creative space at this point in time. Some people have managed to still release music and do well, but that has been largely restricted to you're doing it on the international market. We're now hoping that Vincimas 2022 will allow all of our budding practitioners to come back. I think Lester has about 50 songs on hold. I don't know how many Fireman has. I know Luther has. I know Skinny has been releasing and continues to release. I'm pretty sure that Madzart, we know every morning he wakes up, he writes another song. So there are a lot of people with material out there just waiting for the opportunity to get it to the public.
Vincentian International soca artist Skinny Fabulous thanked the CDC for engaging the cabinet to have Vincimas this year.
For us to operate within what is realistic of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and stop depending solely on what happens on the international scene. Because we are our own people, so we could determine. I feel like sometimes our protocols change when Barbados change, or when they put on CNN and they see something, and I feel we're independent enough to be able to relax our protocols or stiffen them up according to what exists here. Right? I'm happy we're doing a Vincimas. And I'm also hopeful that the extra protocol of needing to be boosted tested and vaccinated. I hope that slims down a little bit for Vincy Mars, because I mean, we're dependent on the people to come to it.
Skinny further gave his views on the protocols for Carnival this year, specifically on the issues of vaccinations and booster shots.
They don't call for testing.
Right.
They only call for vaccination and appropriate boosting.
And appropriate boosting. Right? So that is something we're going to have a whole campaign on, in terms of appropriately boosted. Because I got vaccinated last year, May, and apparently I might not be able to participate by May. By May I might be deemed unvaccinated. So that is a campaign by itself that I think y'all need to push hard and make sure that it's clear. And I think also we should be a little bit lenient on it too. Because I mean, if a man don't go through 2 vaccines last year, I don't think we should penalize him if he hasn't gotten a chance to be boosted. I think we should be a little bit flexible on that and still give credit to the persons who at first, when we went out, we felt as if like it was just one vaccinated thing and we good to go. Now it seems like every 3 months we need to take a jab. You know what I mean? So I feel like we should...
Police have charged, and that should be police have arrested and charged 24-year-old Terran James of Diamond with murder and 24-year-old Lesroy Stapleton, also of Diamond, with manslaughter in connection with the death of fellow villager 27-year-old Kevin George, who received multiple stab wounds during an altercation last Saturday. The accused men appeared before the Serious Offences Court on Monday. James was remanded into custody at Her Majesty's Prison, while Stapleton was granted bail in the sum of $30,000 with one surety. Stapleton was also ordered to surrender all travel documents and report to the Stubbs police station every Monday and Thursday between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Stop notices were also placed at all ports of entry. Meanwhile, the police arrested and charged Damian Glasgow, a 34-year-old mechanic of Gomé, with possession of an unlicensed firearm and discharging a loaded firearm. The police say, according to investigations, on January 31st, the accused allegedly had in his possession one 9mm Glock pistol without a license issued under the Firearms Act. He was also charged for discharging a loaded firearm in the Calder Public Road. The accused appeared before the Serious Offences Court on Tuesday to answer to the charges and pled not guilty. Bail was granted in the sum of $12,000 with one surety. He was ordered to surrender all travel documents and report to the Calico police station every Friday between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and stop notices were also placed at all ports of entry. The matter was adjourned to February 18th. That should be February 8th.